how many people do you see that are concerned or worried about outliving their money? And
Every
let me kind of break the ice on this because a lot of people think Social Security is their ultimate retirement move, right? Most people think that, I don't have to worry about outliving my money. I just need to reduce my spending because I'm going to reduce my income. I'm going to make less money in retirement. So I'm not worried about outliving my money because I always have Social Security. But the reality is only 5 to 10% of Americans actually retire on their own wealth outside of Social Security. So how do you feel about this? How do you feel about people being concerned with outliving their money or outliving their savings?
It's a real concern. I mean, think of where we are in a society these days. People, what is the largest segment of our population in terms of increase that we've never seen before? It's those reaching age 100. That's crazy. Think about that. You could be retired as long or longer than you worked. So the thought process of outliving your money is real. It's absolutely real. So when you don't have a pension, we've talked about this many times, Will, when we don't have the resource for the vast majority of us, if we don't have a pension, which used to be the norm, to where we couldn't outlive our money because we were still alive collecting our pension, if we're trying to drive and build our own pension, how do you build that platform to where you can't outlive the money? That is the major problem today in terms of having longevity and the fear of absolutely outliving that money. And it's real. I see this all the time, man. And I still have a grandmother that is alive. Okay, she's 90, she's in her mid 90s. That's unbelievable to me that from a longevity perspective, I hope I have the gene, right? I want to be that. But at the same time, what the world she came from and my grandfather came from, he's been gone over 20 years now. She's been on her own for over 20 years. She still has money. There's a reason because the world was different then than it is today. You made the point earlier. Money, it's our life is ever evolving. To think that the world is the same today as it was 20 years ago, or for crying out loud, when it was when she was born 95 plus years ago, it's not the same. Technology has changed. Everything has changed. Cost of living has changed. Where she is today, the vast majority of us right now cannot sustain what she has done in her life. Can't, because they don't have the resources. When I say resources, money to have the ability. I have another aunt, my uncle, my grandmother's brother. So my uncle passed away quite a few years ago. My aunt is still alive, his wife. She's unfortunately in a facility because she has like some dementia and that kind of stuff. She has some issues. She had a stroke. My point is, though, she's in her 90s. She's been in a facility for, oh my gosh, pushing 8 years probably. I want you to understand something. This is the expense of that is astronomical. It's astronomical month to month because the way my uncle set things up with having a pension. He was in the education field, so he was very involved in it. He had a pension, plus he did other assets. He was very intelligent from the standpoint of, I know I need more than just this. Well, because most people that had pensions didn't think that way. I have a pension, I'm good. Not him. He put more assets aside. As a result, my aunt, my cousin, his one daughter, is maintaining her entire estate and pays for everything. She has, there's going to be money when she passes away still going to her and her sister because of how my uncle set things up. They have not had to tap, they have been able to make the payments on my aunt being in a facility for at least 8 years. That's unheard of
Yeah, that's insane.
because the expense, I'm talking like $8,000, $9,000 a month because
Yeah.
she needs memory care, all this. That is not cheap.
Hmm.
Because how my uncle set things up on top of his pension that she's still acquiring as well, the assets that are there are maintaining her care. That when you talk about end of life is so important when it comes to how are you finishing out your days here?
Hmm.
Are you finishing out your days? Now she has some issues with memory, so that's the very unfortunate thing. She doesn't, that's a problem. She's healthy otherwise, but that really stinks because she doesn't know who anybody is. But the point is, she's being cared for and is not just being left. You know what I mean? She's not forgotten
Well, and
because of what my uncle was able to
think of
do.
how that affects the family. Like,
100%.
oh my God, like not having to
100%.
stress out and worry about that.
So when we're talking about the fear of outliving money, I'm telling you right now, what they've been able to do is a minuscule of our population could do that today. Minuscule. I'm talking extremely small percentage
Yes.
because we're not set up for when we have conversations. Well, I'm trying to drive making sure that what we're doing and having conversations with people on, I use this term before, you've heard me say this, bulletproof. Bulletproof doesn't just mean bulletproof from losses in the market. Bulletproof is not just from you leaving this earth prematurely or becoming disabled. Bulletproof is these types of things right here that we're talking about. Outliving money. You go into facilities like this, is your money protected to be able to sustain this type of a situation, longevity, and having issues like this in your life to where it doesn't become a financial burden to your beneficiaries? Could be your children, it could be someone else because of the expense that we're talking about. When we're talking about being bulletproof, this is what we're talking about. What can happen in life? And when you say that's not going to happen to me, maybe not. But if it does, it's 100%. And that's the problem. You don't know what's going to come down the road. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what tomorrow brings. And that's what we have to plan for. And you can't just plan for trying to be retired. You got to plan for this stuff because unfortunately life happens. And this is what takes place. Life changes. Life comes to an end at some point. The problem is, how does life end?